I Love Lucy was a historically funny show, but that doesn't mean that making it was all fun and games. From marital issues to a near-death experience, here's what took place when the cameras weren't rolling on the Ricardos.
Lucy, I'm home!
I Love Lucy changed the way that women were portrayed on television. Lucy Ricardo wasn't a meek and mild housewife sitting around and waiting for her husband Ricky to come home. She showcased a colorful personality and held her own grand ambitions. Proposing this premise to a female actor in the 1950s would certainly be a major selling point, but that wasn't the thing that convinced Lucille Ball to do I Love Lucy. At the time, Ball had a budding film career and a successful radio show called My Favorite Husband that secured her $136,500 per year. My Favorite Husband would serve as the main source of inspiration for I Love Lucy, but Ball remained apprehensive about the sitcom since she had guaranteed film work. Her husband and soon-to-be co-star Desi Arnaz also had a musical career. Ball's decision to take a gamble on the sitcom was made after she had a dream about a close friend who died in 1942. According to Warren G. Harris's book, Lucy and Desi, the legendary love story of television's most famous couple, the beloved actor once said, "Then I dreamed about Carole Lombard. She was wearing a very smart suit. Carole always dressed very beautifully. And she said, 'Take a chance, honey, give it a whirl.' After that, I knew for certain that we were doing the right thing." Ball added that Lombard would often appear in her dreams to provide advice, but this particular recommendation was definitely her most impactful. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz didn't just play Lucy and Ricky Ricardo on I Love Lucy. They seemingly were Lucy and Ricky. Their real-life chemistry as a married couple shined on screen, convincing viewers that the two characters genuinely cared about each other. However, Ball's relationship with Arnaz had been on shaky ground before I Love Lucy, as there had been rumors of infidelity on Arnaz's part. As director William Asher explained to People magazine, the couple had separated briefly for a period before the show started. Their marriage struggled as Ball continued to work as an actor, while Arnaz was on the road with his band. They weren't together much, leading to mounting issues between them.
It was something that I said that started this whole thing.
What'd you say?
I do.
Ball's solution to their problems was to get Arnaz apart as her husband on the sitcom, but not everyone was convinced. I Love Lucy writer Bob Weisskopf recalled, "At the time, the consensus was, what the hell do we want with a Latin bandleader who can't speak English? But she wanted him because she knew that if he went on the road with the band, he'd be catting around all the time. She wanted him at home, where she felt the marriage would have a better chance of lasting, which of course it did. The couple lasted the length of the show, but eventually divorced in 1960. Ball put all her eggs in one basket, as she hoped that I Love Lucy would save her rocky marriage to Desi Arnaz. Not only had they experienced turmoil because of Arnaz's purported affairs and their time apart, but they also wanted to start a family together. As fortune would have it, Ball gave birth to their daughter, Lucy Arnaz, a few weeks before she began work on I Love Lucy. According to Lucy Arnaz, her parents thought they would do the program for a short while before finally getting the chance to enjoy the happy and cozy family life that followed, not anticipating life-changing success. She told Desert Sun, "They thought, we'll do this for a year and we'll have home movies for our kids." And it became the biggest thing ever. So it was one of those things, be careful what you wish for. It was almost impossible to be with the family you said you wanted to have all your life. She added how her parents' burgeoning production company, Desilu, also complicated matters in terms of allowing them time to be a family. At one point, Arnaz suggested they keep their enterprise smaller and spend more time at home, but Ball decided to go all in and grow the operation instead. Ball's friendship with Vivian Vance has become the stuff of Hollywood legend. The pair not only played best pals Lucy Ricardo and Ethel Mertz on I Love Lucy, but they were also the best of friends when the cameras stopped rolling and the live audience left the building. When Ball filed for divorce from Desi Arnaz, Vance was one of the select few people who knew about it before the news became public. While they built a lifelong and cherished friendship after their paths crossed on I Love Lucy, Ball wasn't a fan of Vance's casting initially. She didn't have a say in the hiring of Vance as Ethel, as it was director Mark Daniels, producer Jess Oppenheimer, and Arnaz who made the decision after scouting her on stage. When Ball found out about Vance's casting, she wasn't pleased, as she'd envisioned Ethel as looking much different. Frank Castelluccio, co-author of The Other Side of Ethel Mertz, The Life Story of Vivian Vance, suggested that Ball went as far as trying to get Vance booted from the show altogether. Castelluccio quoted the show's writers, Bob Weisskopf and Bob Schiller, as saying, Lucy came from the old school, and she learned pretty fast that you don't have any younger, prettier people around.
You think they could make a glamour girl out of me? Sure. Says right here, we work miracles.
Fortunately, Ball and Vance learned to overcome any initial animosity, becoming strong friends until Vance's death in 1979. In May 1955, Vivian Vance opened up to McCall's about her mental health issues and the effects they had on her life. She referred to a specific incident as a nervous breakdown, while also discussing the positives that I Love Lucy had brought to her life and career. According to Albuquerque Museum's history curator, Deborah Slaney, Vance continued to experience mental health issues because of the pressure to perform alongside her own desire to be seen as a star. Vance reportedly had ambitions of moving beyond her time as Ethel Mertz, wanting to score big parts and be seen as a leading lady. As Slaney put it, she lived with the knowledge that continual performing could send her over the edge. She freely admitted in the 50s that she spent at least a couple of years in therapy. That's why she felt it was so important to volunteer to help mental health organizations. Still, Vance never stopped performing, even after she received her cancer diagnosis in 1973. Every good sitcom needs a curmudgeon, and William Frawley's Fred Mertz was one of the first and most influential. Frawley was no stranger to the world of showbiz, having starred in dozens of films before being cast in I Love Lucy. His casting, however, proved to be controversial at the time. Desi Arnaz needed to vouch for him, as CBS was concerned about Frawley's reputation as being a heavy drinker. As Arnaz explained in his autobiography, A Book, Frawley called him to find out if he could be considered for the role of Fred. Familiar with his talents and believing him to be the right fit for the part, Arnaz took the suggestion to CBS, but the executives pushed back on the idea. Arnaz used his position as an executive producer on the show to hire Frawley anyway. Still, his reputation was on the line, so he explained to Frawley, "The first time you are not able to do your job, I'll try to work around you for that day. The second time, I'll try to manage again. But if you do it 3 times, you are through, and I mean through. Not only on our show, but you'll never work in this town again as long as you live. Is that fair enough?" Frawley agreed, and the rest is history. There was no disputing William Frawley's talent, and he left his undeniable mark on I Love Lucy as Fred Mertz. However, it seems that Fred's cynical and unpleasant mannerisms were closer to reality than most viewers may have imagined. As author Jeffrey Mark explained, I Love Lucy writers took a lot of inspiration from the real-life Frawley for the character, for better or worse. Mark told Closer Weekly, "He was not an easy man to work with. He was very set in his ways. He was Irish Catholic, I believe. He did not have a very strong taste for Jews. He was a little anti-Semitic, which is not a good thing if your boss, in this case Jess Oppenheimer, was Jewish. He didn't like people who weren't white, which is not a good thing when you're working for Desi Arnaz." Another person who Frawley didn't like was his on-screen wife, Vivian Vance. J.K. Simmons, who played Frawley in the 2021 biopic Being the Ricardos, told Vanity Fair that, through his research, he discovered the animosity between Frawley and Vance was real and present from the very first table read. After Vance made a comment about playing the wife of an old coot, their personal relationship fractured and never recovered. Professionally, though, they certainly made it work.
I'm sorry I called you a dumb bunny.
And I'm sorry you're so fat you broke my glasses.
While co-starring in I Love Lucy was an attempt at keeping Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz closer, it appears like it wasn't without incident either. According to Stephen Canfer's book Ball of Fire, The Tumultuous Life and Comic Art of Lucille Ball, there were heated incidents between the pair that sometimes resulted in physical violence. Maury Thompson, who worked behind the scenes on the show and collaborated with the couple thereafter, reported that Ball hurt Arnaz on occasion. He alleged, "She loves to hurt a man. She's kicked Desi in the nuts several times, just bowled him over. She laughed about it. If he's stooped over, she'll kick him in the butt, and she'll aim low and she'll hit him right in the balls." There were also allegations that Ball hit Arnaz over the head with a hammer and knocked him out at one point. Fans might have had a laugh at the Season 5 episode of I Love Lucy, titled Lucy's Italian Movie, but Lucille Ball wasn't laughing during the filming of an infamous grape stomping scene. As Ball recounted on The Dick Cavett Show, the moment called for a play fight between her and Italian actor Teresa Torelli in a vat of grapes. Torelli didn't speak English, though, only receiving basic instructions from the person who brought her to the shoot. Ball explained that she slipped and crashed into her co-star, recalling, "She took offense, so she hauled off and let me have it." Of course, The scene did call for a fight between the two, but Ball's limbs were supposed to pop up out the vat to add to the comedic effect. Torelli didn't let up though, and Ball started to struggle as she drowned in the grapes. She continued, "She kept me down by the throat. I had grapes up my nose, in my ears, and she was choking me, and I'm really beating her to get her off." Ball fought Torelli off and called out for the director, who thought they were only hamming it up for the sake of comedy. In the end, the scene needed to be shot again. Ball joked, "To drown in a vat of grapes was not the way I had planned to go."
Lucy, why don't you go wash that blue stuff off?
I tried to. It won't come off.
Filmmaker William Asher is renowned as sitcom royalty, having played a vital role in bringing iconic series such as Our Miss Brooks and Bewitched to life. He also had an important part in the success of I Love Lucy, as he joined the show in the second season after the departure of Mark Daniels and oversaw over 100 episodes. His first day on set proved to be eventful for all the wrong reasons. According to the Directors Guild of America magazine, Asher stepped away from the rehearsal to deal with another matter, and when he returned, he saw Lucille Ball issuing instructions to the crew. Asher wasn't a fan. In his words, "I said, Lucy, there's only one director. I'm it. If you would like to direct, then don't pay me and send me home." When I said that, she began to cry and ran off the stage. Everybody disappeared. At that point, Asher feared he might have tanked the gig. It didn't help that Desi Arnaz had a go at him too. Asher managed to explain the situation to Arnaz, and the actor saw his point and encouraged him to speak to Ball. Asher approached Ball and apologized for making her cry, and according to Asher, they never had a problem thereafter.